Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your girl AdriennaDC. As you guys know from the title of this video, today we are going to be playing with some brand new makeup from Melt Cosmetics. So if you guys don't know, Melt recently released a whole new makeup collection inspired by Beetlejuice, and yeah, it was quite Beetlejuicy. It was really pretty, but unfortunately I didn't get the entire collection. I did manage to get my hands on two of the eyeshadow palettes. It's quite interesting because I actually saw a YouTuber, Mel Thompson. She reviewed the palette about a month ago, literally, and that was before the actual launch. And I don't know, it just didn't grab me really. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember if she went all into it and did a demo or whatever the case is, but it didn't really, I didn't really like, it was not hype and I didn't really get excited about it. But I saw another YouTuber by the name of, I think it's Jimmy Abiola or Abiola Jimmy. I'm not quite sure how her name is pronounced. I'm hoping I'm not butchering it. But I was so impressed with the pigments and the color of these eyeshadow palettes. I decided I had to have it. Now, I would have loved if I had got my hands on some of the gel liners that came up with this collection, but unfortunately, I did not. But yeah, these are two of the eyeshadow palettes. So this one is called The Waiting Room, which is red inspired, and this one is called Recently Deceased. So this is the outer package of the palettes, and let's just get into these. But this is what the actual packaging of the palette looks like. It's quite sleek. I quite like it. I mean, now when you think about Beetlejuice, you're probably thinking about that's gonna be a little bit too playful for my liking or whatever the case is. But I quite like what they did with it, especially working with a Beetlejuice theme. I like the package, and coming from a brand like Bell Cosmetics, which is not like high end or anything like that, just a really good brand. I put some good products. I am really impressed with the packaging and the design and the actual sturdiness and feel of this palette. When you open the palette, it has this picture right here. Now, forgive me, I haven't watched Beetlejuice in a long time. I mean, I'm not quite sure it's on television, but I'm not quite sure what this picture is of. I don't know, but it's just meant to protect the palette, and this is what the palette looks like. So as you can see, this eyeshadow palette comes with 10 eyeshadows. I did manage to swab my finger in a little bit. I just couldn't help it, obviously. So the eyeshadow palette comes with 10 shades in it, and this one in particular has a more red and burgundy and silver theme. Now let me just show you guys the other one. Now this one here, I was definitely anticipating and couldn't wait to play with. Now green is my favorite color, as you can see. I just love this palette. I don't know, it kind of gives me a Jeffree Star kind of feel. I don't know. So this is the green palette now. OMG, look at the greens and the purples and these deep mauve shades in here. Now I could not wait to play with this. Again, this palette seems quite similar to that Alien palette that Jeffree Star had brought out, but he actually discontinued. I really like that palette. I didn't get a chance to get my hands on it. I know his whole controversial situation, but that was before we know what we know now. So that's that. But this palette is so beautiful, and the colors look so bright and pigmented and pretty that I could not wait to play with it. I'm just gonna swatch these for you. I'm gonna start off with the first palette, which is The Waiting Room. I'm just gonna quickly get into it because if you guys see my other videos, you know that I'm really bad with swatching. The first shade I'm gonna be swatching is this red shade right here, which is called Lydia. And I'm going to pass this one right here. So this is like a red shimmery color, really pretty. The next shade next to that is called Dante's Inferno, and this is like a brown metallic color. Oh god, so pretty. The next shade is called Assad Girl. Ooh, this one came out really crumbly. Oh my goodness. So the shades are coming out really crumbly. Out of that, on my hands, I'm just diving into it a bit too much. The next shade is No Exit, and this one is like a brownie burgundy shade, No Exit. And the next shade is called Obituary, which again looks quite similar. So all these shades have a more of a similar undertone. So this one is called Obituary, and this is more burgundy, as opposed to this one is more browny red, but this one is burgundy. And then the bottom row is like a gray shade. Let me just clean my fingers. Ooh, quite pigmented because the shades are sticking to my hand. So this one is called Sandworm. And this one is like a gray toned, is of a white toned gray. And then this other shade is called Juno, which is a glittery. Oh God, I'm really scratching into these. Oh, and that's like a silvery shade, metallic shade. The other one is called Shrunken Head, which is a gray tone brown. Almost even seems like it has a bit of a green in it. So that's that one. The other one is called Tombstone. And this is another gray tone brown shade, but it's more, ooh, it looks more browny, like a browny gray. So this is more gray toned. It looks more gray. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. They're very close. One is like a lighter gray and a deeper gray, more brown tone gray. And then the other shade is called Charman, which is a black. Ooh, wow. OMG. Look at that. So these are the swatches from the Melt Cosmetic palette called the Waiting Room. So these are the 10 shades. I'm sorry if you guys can't see very well. So the top row has in these red to browny shades. This is kind of like a berry red shade, and these the second row has in like this lighter gray and shimmers. This lighter gray, this shimmer, and these brown tone grays, and this jet black. Okay, so in this palette here now, it's actually upside down, but I'm gonna, yeah, why not? Right. So this shade here, so it's called Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice, let me just do it up here. Beetlejuice, which is this green shade right here, a neon green shade. This other shade, oh, Paranormal. This is the most beautiful color in this palette. Like, God. If this palette shade get any prettier, look at that deep green. And this other shade is called Draw a Door, and this is like a greeny yellow or yellow green shade or mustard. I don't know. It looks green, yellow, and mustard. Whichever shade you guys capture from it. Oh, actually this palette actually has an 8 eyeshadows. I didn't even realize that. So this one has an 8 eyeshadows as opposed to 10. Not that I really mind that much. So the next shade that I'm going to be trying is called Neurotic, which is a lighter green with some shimmers in it. Oh, absolutely stunning these are. Okay, and then the second row is called Bio Exorcist. I'm gonna swatch it right to the bottom here. Bio Exorcist, really pretty. The next one is called, this one here is called Little Accident. Am I switching directions here? No, I'm not. Okay, the next one is called Lost Souls. My Lord, these are pretty. These purples are everything. And then this other shade is called Recently Deceased, and this one is a bit of a shimmer shade. Wow. Now these shades are absolutely beautiful. Now they swatch really nicely and they're really pigmented. So I cannot wait to create a look with this eyeshadow palette. So what I'm actually going to do for you guys is I'm going to be creating a look with the Waiting Room, and then I'm going to go on and create a look with Recently Deceased eyeshadow palette. So let me just go and prime my eyelids and get prepped. All right, so I just quickly went and applied my base off camera. I've already primed my eyelids. So the first palette I'm going to be going in with is the Waiting List. Okay, so the first brush, I'm going to be using my M441 brush, and I'm actually going to be going in with that shade Shrunken Head so I'm going to be using this shade Shrunken Head as a transition shade just into the crease. So I'm just applying this shade quite liberal in the crease area. I'm not really digging into this shade because I just want a light wash of it. I'm going to be diving into the reds. Obviously, how could you not? So the next shade I'm going to be going in with is this deep burgundy shade called No Exit. I'm just going to be applying that with my crease brush directly into the crease. Ooh, oh dear God. That's intense. So far there's a bit of fallout, as you can see. I did hit my brush, but maybe I kind of dived into this shade a little bit. Now, as you can see, this is very intense, that shade is. I'm gonna have to say kind of stick to my base a little bit. So I'm just trying to buff it out. Ooh, okay. So as you can see, I'm just using circular motion to buff it out and kind of wing this shade out, because again, that went in really intense, and I'm gonna have to say it kind of like stuck to my base a little bit, even though I applied that gray shade first to act as a transition. No, I was actually planning on diving into that black shade in this palette but with the amount of pigment that I just got, wow. Okay, but it did blend out quite seamlessly, so that's good news. So now I'm going to be going back in with that same brush that I used earlier to apply that gray shade, and just go around here in circular motions just to make sure I have a very soft transition going up towards the eyebrows. So I'm kind of in between mines, but I actually want to go in with this Metallica. It's like a bronzy burgundy shade. I actually want to apply it into the crease area. I'm in between mines, but you know what? I'm going to just go for it. And I'm going to be using that same brush that I used to apply that shade. Ooh, okay. See? Oh, yeah. Okay. And there you go. Now, this has a metallic type of finish, so I didn't want to use it into the crease, but ooh, I am loving this. Okay, just gonna go back into that shade, and as you can see, I'm getting quite a good finish with just one dip. So we are definitely getting some pigment here in these eyeshadow palette, in this eyeshadow. From this eyeshadow palette. I love that brownie bronzy shade. Ooh, can I just say? Just gonna apply a little bit more of that shade on. And I'm just taking the shade through the crease with my crease brush just to get enough concentration of it, because I'm gonna be going in with another shade in a bit. I'm actually in between mines because I'm not quite sure if I want to use this berry pink shade or this red shade here. Decisions. I'm going to go in with that shade Assad Girl, which is berry pink in the middle. And I'm going to be applying that with a flat brush. Oh, yes. Look at that. Now, this is so pigmented, it's spreading a lot more than I actually wanted it to. I actually want to use that shade Lydia to the second half, just to create a nice seamless blend into that bronzy color that I applied. So that's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, I like you. Nice. I'm loving that so far. And then I actually want to dive into that shade called Juno, but I don't just want it to be concentrated here. I actually want it to be spread a little bit more up. Okay, I'm gonna have to use a different brush to apply that shade. So I'm actually gonna use, so I went in to that Juno shade, but the brush that I'm using isn't really intensifying it as much as I would like. Yeah, so I don't just want it to be concentrated as an inner corner color. I want to get a nice little blend of it. So that shade is coming out very foil-like. It's blending quite nicely. Okay, then I'm gonna go on to my lower lash line. I'm gonna apply a little bit of eyeliner by Pat McGrath just to the lower lash line before I start applying my color. Okay, and then I'm gonna be going in. Then I'm gonna be going in with my smudge brush. I'm just gonna be smudging out that black liner that I just applied a little bit. Okay, then I'm gonna be going in with that shade No Exit. I'm gonna be applying that with my smudge brush. So I'm just gonna be lightly smudging this color underneath that black liner. And I'm actually gonna go in with that Assad Girl shade to the lower lash line, but I'm gonna do so ever so sparingly. So I'm gonna go in with my Morphe E36 brush, and I'm gonna just gently dab it into Assad Girl. Okay, then I'm gonna go back into that shade Juno, and I'm just gonna lightly dab into it, and I'm just gonna take it to the high points of my brow. Well, if only it would so that shade Umo is very chunky, so the glitter goes on really. You gotta really pick the particles up and apply it and then rub it into the skin. All right, so I'm gonna just quickly go off camera and pop some eyelashes on, and I'm gonna show you the finished look of the Waiting Room eyeshadow palette by Mel Cosmetics. All right, guys, so this is the finished look that I came up with using the Waiting Room palette from the Beetlejuice collection from Mel Cosmetics. Now, I am really loving the pigment in this palette. Now, I use quite a bit of the shades from this eyeshadow palette. I use quite a few actually. I actually use no exit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I've used 6 shades to create this eyeshadow look. And yeah, I am quite enjoying it. So now I'm just going to quickly go off camera, remove this look, and create another look using the recently deceased eyeshadow palette. So see you guys in a second. All right, guys, so initially I planned to create 2 different looks, one with the Waiting Room palette and one with the recently deceased, but in the end I decided to do 2 videos. So this is actually my part 1 video creating a look with the Waiting Room palette. Please do stay tuned for my part 2 video with a look using the recently deceased palette. If you guys have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click that subscribe button. Make sure to click the notification bell. That way you'll be notified as soon as I upload my part 2. And until next time, guys, bye. See you in my next video.